Giants fans, what is going on? Happy Wednesday, and I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. Truth, what is going on? It has been a minute since you and I have been on this program together. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Keeping busy down here in South Carolina.
Very nice. So after the Giants blew the game the other day, you got to go out and enjoy a few rounds of golf, huh?
Well, I actually didn't watch the game. I told Chris that I'm not going to watch the game. So I actually went out and played 27 holes of golf, enjoyed myself, and didn't worry about the game
Good.
until I heard about it.
Good for you. That's how it should be, right? I mean, listen. Now the thing is, the Giants did keep it close, right? But at the same time, I mean, it was only close because of a bunch of stupid mistakes by the Eagles. And listen, I mean, it did get to the wire there towards the end. But my thinking was this: okay, bad pass interference calls, whatever. But the Giants were down by 8. We would have needed a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and an overtime, score. And I just feel like at some point in the process, the Giants would have blown it anyway. I'm much more pissed at opportunities the Giants did have to seal it, like 3rd and 20, or on the drive before that. If they stopped the Eagles any sooner, they could have had the ball back down 5. Then they score a touchdown, the game's over. Different story. But, it's frustrating to lose the Eagles no matter what time of year it is and whether or not it sucks, right? I mean, it goes back a while. You've been a Giants fan now for almost 50 years. So, I mean, you know what it feels like. It's a terrible loss, no matter what.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'll be honest with you, they played a lot better than I thought they would. We had predictions and scores, and granted that they got a defensive touchdown. But, that's part of the game, turnovers. So
right.
They played better than I thought they would. So I guess that's the only thing I take out of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But we can at least look forward to this upcoming week. It's the Giants' second to last home game of the season. It's the last game of the year. They have one more game against the Eagles.
Right.
January, it's the last game of the fiscal year 2023, let's say. The Giants are playing the Rams. Now, I got to tell you, truth, historically, I used to be so indifferent towards the Rams. When I was growing up, at the very least, right? I didn't start watching until The Greatest Show on Turf was dying down. And then, they really stunk when they were in St. Louis. It didn't matter what kind of year the Giants were having. They would take care of St. Louis, right? When they were the St. Louis Rams.
Right.
And this lasted until 2016 when they beat the Rams in London. Right. That was the last time I remember just feeling so indifferent about the Rams and how they played and how successful they were. But, then 2017, things took a sharp turn. The Giants got destroyed that year, 51-17. Yep. Ugly game. Very ugly game. And then come 2020, I believe it was. Correct me if it was 2019. I mean, there was that, game where the Giants actually had a bit of a chance of winning against the Rams. It was 2020. And then at the end, it ended with that giant brawl and that whole situation. Very ugly. I don't like the Rams at all now because of that. The last 6 years against them, and Grant, they're good. They won a Super Bowl. But I would love for the Giants to take care of business against the Rams after what they've been since they've moved to Los Angeles. How about you?
Well, yes, of course. Every time I watch the Giants, I want to see them. I want to see them win the game. If not, at least put the effort in. And I don't have that same animosity towards the Rams as you do. But
yeah, you probably don't care, right? I mean, you're going back 50 years. It's never. It's never been anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like to watch. Looking forward to this game because I really haven't seen much of Aaron Donald this year. So I'm looking forward to see how he looks. I've been a big fan of his, even when he came out of the draft. I mean, I wanted the Giants to draft him, and it took Odell Beckham, of course. So, but but I like it. I saw your comment on Twitter about that.
Which one?
About your sudden distaste for the Rams, and it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. So. I just want to see a good game. That's all. I want to see a good game.
No, I hear you. It's the distaste for the Rams just kind of, I mean, it goes into that, like beating the Giants and then embarrassing the Giants was frustrating, right? But, look, in any event, I mean, the Giants have a shot here. I mean, they're 4.5-point underdogs. And it just depends on what type of game they're going to bring. The Rams have played very good in the last 6 games. They've won 5 of them.
They have, yep.
Did very good against the Saints, too, who the Giants did not play very well against,
Yep.
right? And it just depends on how the Giants come out. They came out in November, and against some teams that are okay, right? The Packers are kind of comparable to the Rams. They came out and played good enough football to beat them with Tommy DeVito. Can the Giants go out there and beat the Rams? I feel confident that there would be an easier matchup than the Eagles, but it all comes down to, what kind of mistakes the Giants are making. They didn't have too many ridiculous turnovers or anything like that against the Eagles, but I do find it to be an issue if they're going to have any special team blow-ups and really just general level of play. I mean, if they're going out there on defense the last 2 weeks and playing pretty disappointing football and giving up too many yards on the ground, it's going to be a very challenging day against the Rams, who are looking more so now like the 2021 team than they were at the beginning of the season, where they were coming in pretty clunky. So, I mean, what are your thoughts overall about how the Giants need to approach the Rams game in order to win?
Well, I mean, I got some stats here, and you mentioned about running the football. The Rams are actually 13th in the league against the run. They give up 106 yards a game. Of course, the Giants are ranked down to the bottom at 29 to give over 130, and that's always going to be the topic. Every time you talk about the Giants game plan, you got to get Barkley involved. Barkley has to have those games where he breaks a 1 or 2, which he's capable of doing.
We haven't seen a lot of it this year, though.
No, we haven't. And let's be realistic. This is his 5th season. Am I right, Barkley?
This is, and in running back years, that's
Yeah, it's like dog years, right? It's like dog years.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And so to rely on Barkley to have an outstanding game, which he's capable of doing, but he's going to have to do that. Look,
Right.
I know that Taylor's coming in, replacing DeVito, and but I don't expect him to throw up a 300-yard day for the Giants. I don't expect that. So, again, it's a game where the Giants need to protect the football. They need to, in my opinion, create turnovers like they have been doing, and they got to get the running game in and win the time of possession, so they keep the Rams off the field.
Right. And another big part of this, I mean, the Rams do have a relatively stellar offense. I mean, their pass block or their sacks allowed is 29th in terms of, reverse, right? The Giants are giving up the most sacks. They're giving up the third least. The Rams are.
Yep.
So the Giants are up against another challenging offensive line. Now, I was disappointed with how the defense played against the Eagles and really the Saints too. That's going to be a challenge with the Rams too. I mean, I would really like to see them step up, but that's a challenging offensive line to go against. So who are the players that need to make an impact now that haven't in the last 2 weeks? You go first, and I got one clear-cut one in mind.
Well, I mean, I can only go look. He's played well for the Giants over the last, especially into the second half of the season. But last week, I'll just go by last week. I saw Kayvon Thibodeaux not play as well as he has, especially against the run. I saw a lot of mistakes, and another guy, Ojulari. I saw a lot of plays taken off. I saw him on a number of plays jogging in pursuit, and that's just a no-no in football. Usually, when a coach sees that the guy is out the next play, they take him out of the game. I didn't see that. I didn't see Dable take him out. So that's a guy who has been very disappointing in my mind.
You take Kayvon.
Well, more Ojulari. I mean,
Ojulari. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kayvon had a bad day, had a bad game, and a lot of.
Yeah, but he wasn't jogging. He wasn't doing that crap.
No, he wasn't jogging. No, you're right. He wasn't jogging. But on defense, that was a big glaring thing I've seen was Ojulari on a number of plays, not just one, on a number of plays, not giving the effort. And of course, collectively tackling was a major problem. I saw guys horrible, not even touching the guy, reaching and grasping and not breaking down to make a tackle. It looks like Pop Warner sometimes with these guys, how they the technique of tackling. I don't understand why it's so hard. I understand it's the NFL and it's a fast game, but these guys are supposed to be in that league. They're supposed to be able to handle the speed of the NFL. So I don't get it.
Well, there's one theory going around that because the Giants are kind of knocked out of playoff contention, the players might be lighting up a little bit just because they don't want to get hurt.
Well, they got their jobs on the line. I don't know why they would do that.
I understand.
I would think, right?
I would think too. It's one of the theories that Carl Banks was discussing the other day.
Oh, he did. Well, that's not good if he brought that up.
About 6 months ago. I shouldn't say the other day. It's a theory of his, but the tackling quality is so awful, and particularly with the Giants. I mean, there were some days, there's some games the Giants are playing this year. They actually looked pretty good out there, but recently, I mean, it's just looked like a mess. And there's nothing more frustrating as a fan, when the Giants are about to make a tackle on, 2 yards from the first down, and they get dragged on to get the first. And you just question the heart of the players. And that's the thing that really drives me nuts about the Giants team. It's like, guys, where's that heart that you need to go out there and become a better team? And it looks more like players are willing to play, to just wait until the end of the season to move on to the next team because they're just so sick of losing with the Giants. Granted, we're a year away from the playoffs, right? So, I mean, it's a little different of a dynamic. But, to see this heart get thrown out, is very upsetting for fans who are paying hundreds, if not thousands, to go to these games.
Yeah, I do. I really empathize with all those ticket holders. Like, we have two here, and Chris, Craig. I mean, those guys are such loyal fans, and I give them a lot of credit for sticking with the team. I mean, it's very frustrating, like you said, especially when you're paying that kind of money.
And there's been an emphasis with the Giants the last few years. I know we are completely derailing from the Rams game, but there's been an emphasis in the last few years, in the Giants, like when they talk about what they're trying to build, they always bring up the culture, and it's like, okay, guys, I mean, where is the fruitation of this culture that we've talked about under the multiple administrations previous? So I don't know. I think there's a mix of reasons why it's just never come to fruition, but it's something that needs to be fixed because I look at a game like the Rams, and unless they have that mindset that they're going to go in there and that winning mindset and the winning culture, they're going to come out flat-footed and find ways to lose games, and it's going to be frustrating for you and me. And I bring that up because the Rams are a prime example of here's a game that we'd love to see the Giants show the heart in again, and we don't know if they're going to do it.
Look, the Rams are fighting for a playoff spot. They're 8-7. Yeah. Right. And listen, they could be a very scary team in the playoffs as a wild card for a team. Right. They really can be. They got that offense and they got a couple of guys on defense who are pretty good players and who can take over a football game. So, the Giants, like you just said, they got to bring their A game. This is going to be a game that one team has everything to lose, one team has nothing to lose. So Absolutely. Right. So the Rams are going to probably play harder than the Giants is my guess. So the hope is that they got more to play for. They got more to play for. Right.
Right. Which doesn't always mean that it turns out good for the Rams. I mean, quite often we'll see teams that have something to play for. They get the butterflies in their stomach or whatever. And the expectations, they go out there and succeed. And the demand is, and it's a different mindset than the Giants who might be laid back. However, and I've seen this happen in the past, where a team that's out of playoff contention goes out there like, we got nothing to lose. Let's go out there and get a run for our money. Bengals did this at the end of the year 2008. I remember that one distinctly. They won like the last 4 games after only winning one. That's but again, that led to winning the next year. And hopefully the Giants have that mindset now. They have to, let's fight, guys. Let's fight it out. So the next year they come in with that mindset like we won a couple games at the back end of last year. Let's keep going.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And here's the point that we were just talking about, and Darius brings it up about the Rams. They are a team that no one's going to want to face them in the playoffs. If they're, like you said, they won the last 4 out of 5 games, right?
Yes.
They're 4-1.
5 out of 6, actually.
Oh, 5 out of 6. I mean, they're peaking at the right time. And we've seen it, Spartan, right? A lot of teams that make it as a wild card just take it and just go with it, and they end up going to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying it right now that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, but, it's happened before.
You and I know a couple teams, that have done it in the past for the organization we root for, right?
Yeah, both times. You're right. the last two Super Bowl wins, they were wild cards. And
yeah.
Yeah, and I believe didn't they when the Eagles won, they were a wild card too, weren't they? When the Eagles won?
No, they were not. They had a first round bye.
No, when they won it with Nick Foles, yeah, they were.
Yeah, they had a first round bye. They finished 13-3 that year and had a first
round
bye. Now they had a year 2008, which is a very similar run of the Giants the previous year, and they beat Minnesota, then they beat the Giants, and they should have beaten the Cardinals, but they went out there and blew it. You know, maybe that's what you're thinking of, but no, the Eagles didn't win as a wild card. Tell you what, the Ravens did. They may have won the division that year, but they started in the wild card round right after in 2012. And kind of go through the list here of the other ones. But
I'm sure there's so many others that we can't come up with that they've gone through the wild card route and they just ran the table.
It's a long season, right? So if you get hot at the right time and you find that rhythm that you may not have had earlier in the year, look, one of the things that happened with the Giants in 2007 was that Steve Spagnuolo, and we had Quacka Mitchell on the show, and he talked about how they started out and they were trying to find their rhythm. That's why they got blown out by Dallas and Packers week 1 and 2. But then they tore off some games because they're progressively getting better. And that's the difference maker right here. And I'm seeing that with the Rams, and they have a very good shot of going for it in the playoffs. I think they could beat Detroit, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't that be something? You got Stafford coming home, to the Detroit Lions who drafted him. And that would be some story, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, who do you think, or talk about who, but what are some matchups that you think might be favorable for the Giants in this game in terms of, O-line versus D-line? I will say the O-line didn't look too bad against Philadelphia this past week, right? So that was one of the bright spots, and that was a tough trenches. So, I wonder if the Giants' offensive line, who did show up against Aaron Donald in the past, even as bad as the Giants have been, might have a chance this week to actually show once again that they can hang with those guys.
Well, I don't know. I'm assuming the line will be the same. So you're going to have Justin Pugh and Brenderson will be your guards, and they'll probably be going against Aaron Donald the most. And I'm sure they'll be double teaming him. But it's still not a favorable matchup for the Giants.
No.
Aaron Donald. I mean, look. There's not a chance that Pugh can hold up against him physically. So he'll have to have help.
Right.
He really has to have help.
Right. That has been disappointing. Pugh coming in this season. I thought he would be some sort of plug and play help. I mean, he's completely useless out there.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough league. Playing football in the trenches, it's not a glamorous way to make a living, and these guys are very talented at what they do, and they earn every penny of it. To do that in football and 60-something snaps to go out and hit each other as hard as they do, it's not that easy.
It's wear and tear, right? He's been in the league for 2 years, and it's affected him. He's had leg injuries in the past too. So, well, what about the quarterback decision? Tyrod's going to be the quarterback this weekend. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
Well, look, he did come in and did a good job. No doubt. He did a good job putting some life into the Giants offense. He really did. He moved well, felt the pressure, got out of the pocket. And you could see that he, was looking to pass first, not just to run. So he did a good job. I have no problem with it. I know he's not the future for the Giants, and I don't even think he'll be back next year. Taylor as a backup. I don't think DeVito's the future of the Giants. Especially as a starter. I think he's, at best he could be a backup for them, or a quality backup for anybody in an NFL, because he still has room to grow.
That's what he's fighting for, right? To prove that, hey, look, I could be the number 2 QB for the Giants. This is what Tommy DeVito was going out there for in the first place. But, it's the Giants have to decide what they want to make of the backup. Sure, under Eli Manning, Tommy DeVito is the backup. And this is just my opinion, Truth. I want to hear your thoughts. DeVito as the backup under Eli Manning would have been fine. Eli never got hurt. But this season has shown that, the quarterbacks are going down with injuries at a higher rate. I don't know how this is trajecting in the long run, like if this is just a fluke or what the situation is here, but there are 17 games in the season now. There's a
Yeah.
little bit one game at a time, even as small, is more of an opportunity to get hurt. And if we have a rookie quarterback, if the Giants draft a quarterback next year, they might have to look into getting a guy that's a little bit more proven in terms of like they can go out there and maintain steadiness. Because you want to know, the Giants may want to sit the rookie for the first few games, right? It works out better in the long run for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if anybody gets hurt, they might want to have a quarterback that's sufficient enough to go in there so you don't have like a Fromm situation.
Yep.
DeVito's teetering on that line right now. And again, it'd be frowned upon if Dable went out there week one with DeVito as the starter next year.
Yeah, I understand that. And I even mentioned on Twitter, I think I even said it to you, that I had a good, strong feeling that DeVito was not going to finish that game, whether he get hurt or lack of performance. So, and thank God he didn't get hurt if he had to leave the game. He just left because he didn't play well. Yep. But I agree with you. I think it all depends how strongly they feel about DeVito going into next year, because we'll know by free agency when that kicks in how the Giants do DeVito. We'll know. There are going to be some guys out there, some veteran quarterbacks who will be very affordable to bring in for the Giants to be a backup quarterback, or like you said, Jones doesn't come back in time. They could take the starting role until Jones is ready. And I do agree that they are gonna draft a quarterback. I think we all know that they're gonna draft.
Yeah, because you got to think at this point. I mean, Dable's career is resting on a quarterback.
It's resting on that.
Yeah, and if they don't get a quarterback this year and they don't succeed next year, then Dable's out. If they get a quarterback and they don't have a good year next year, I mean, I'd have to argue that they still have to give Dable another year at least, because I want to avoid a Jones situation where we're changing up the offensive coordinator too much.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Spartan. I mean, saying that they're going to get a quarterback, I will say that I don't see the Giants will reach for a quarterback. I think, and I don't know this offhand, I'm just my gut feeling, they have a few guys in mind that they really like. And if they're not available, or if they try to trade up and they can't trade up to get that person, and they can't get those quarterbacks, I don't think they're going to reach for a quarterback.
Then congratulations, Russell Wilson. You are a New York Giant. Did you see that headline today?
I saw that, yeah.
So they're benching him for financial reasons. Apparently, like if they bench him, they don't have to pay him like a certain bonus or something like that.
Well, that's so lame. Man, that's so lame.
It is, but I mean, I understand. I mean, listen, financially, I do understand it, but man, I'd be so pissed off if I was Russ. But he's going to leave the Broncos, and I mean, look, if you're showing that he was still a good quarterback, I'd say.
How much would he be though? How much would he cost?
That's the problem.
To come in?
Hopefully, cheaper than what he charges the Broncos for taking up space in that facility.
And you think he'd come in thinking, okay, because I'm sure they'll tell him, look, you're coming as the backup, and you're just keeping the seat warm until Jones or whoever we draft is ready to come play.
I don't know. I mean, listen, I got to be honest with you. As much as I'd laugh if the Giants got Russ, I mean, I'd still rather have him out there than Jones. This is my personal opinion, but there's no way they could. Here's the bottom line truth, and you might disagree with me. There's no way they can with confidence go out there next year with Jones as the set guy at quarterback. First, obviously he's injured, but even when he comes back, it's like, look, they got to get somebody in there to move on from. You're right. They can't reach for a quarterback. It does make me wonder if they're going to trade up for one. Yeah.
And right now, we got 2 games left. They're sitting in the fifth spot. Without showing my hand, I really think that's kind of where they're going to finish around that area.
What's that? 5 games or?
In the 5th spot.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they're going to win any of the remaining games. So 5-12 is a much more realistic outcome, and that could put them in the 5th spot, all depending on what teams ahead of them do. But there's some interesting teams ahead of us right now that could be changing their game plan. I don't know if you mentioned that on Twitter or one of our friends, Tommy, dear friends, Tommy had mentioned that that a team like Washington could be changing a game plan, and they could be looking for a quarterback, which would mean possibly 3 quarterbacks going the first top 4.
Yeah, that one would be problematic for what the Giants want to do here.
So now
I will just say it.
Right. So if that's the case, people are talking about, and of course, this is something we're going to talk about when we do our draft show. But
right,
people talk about the key or the wild card of those teams in the top 5 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals, who are not projected to take a quarterback. Now, would they entertain trading out of that spot? Because we know who's there for them if they stay there. If they want to stay there, and he would be a great asset to their quarterback, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they want to trade out of that? Unless they view other wide receivers as equally as talented as Harrison, and they can get an extra 2nd or 3rd round pick out of it. Why not?
Right. Now they probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, I mean, Sam Howell's not looking like a promising quarterback, right? So the odds are Washington would try, and I do think if Washington won the next 2, we'd have to lose the next 2 to try to be ahead of them in the draft. I think the Giants could. I think the Giants are certainly capable to lose 2 games in a row. I don't know if Washington has any capability to win 2.
I don't even know who they're playing, and
yeah, they're going to end the year against Dallas next week. Commanders. Oh, they play San Francisco. Yeah, that's not happening.
Well, they're going to finish where they are. Or they might even finish below. They might finish 3rd because you got the Patriots are playing the Jets, and you never know. They could beat the Jets.
Yeah.
That would put them up there. So,
unfortunately, there are a lot of options, though, at quarterback. It's just, I mean, like you said, I mean, if Shane doesn't truly believe that this guy could be a great quarterback, they can't reach, right? It would be a stupid decision to do that.
Now, I know, and we're getting out of this. We're getting out of what we want to do here. But I know that
we are. But you know what? I will be honest with you. The Rams. It's pretty simple to go over. What the Giants have to do against the Rams. It's like stop sucking as much as you have the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that was
you're right. You're right. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But
we will.
I just want to finish our thought here because I know who you like, and I like him too. Yeah. Michael Penix Jr. I like him too. He has that negative side with the injuries, but he didn't get hurt all year. He had a good year, no injuries, and that's vital, especially when he goes for the combine and they do the medicals on them, and that will determine where he could go in the draft. He's a first-round talent. There's no doubt he's a first-round talent. If he would ever fall in the 2nd round to the Giants, and let's just say the Giants did not draft a quarterback in round 1 because of what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
How could you pass on him despite that? If he comes through with the clear flying colors with his injury reports, how could you pass on him in round 2?
I mean, you can't.
How can you pass on him?
You can't.
No, you really can't. And so, I mean, look, it's going to be very interesting, that first round for the Giants. When we have our draft shows, that's going to be really interesting. How many viewers we're going to have watching that?
Well, because sometimes we talk about quarterbacks, but there's no need to because the expectation is the Giants are going to take one, right? Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years at least. Although there was a chance they could have theoretically done it, but we didn't realistically expect it. We've got quarterbacks in the past, but now it's like, okay,
this year,
we got to talk quarterbacks. Like, we have to.
Yeah, and look, you and I view Daniel Jones a little differently. I still like him, but I understand that you have to do what's right for the team, and that's why I wholeheartedly believe they're going to get a quarterback with the first pick if he's there. And I've already talked about who I like.
Yep.
In that spot, I've been mentioning this guy's name for a month and a half. So, but I don't think he'll be there if he keeps doing what he's doing. So, It's going to be interesting to see what happens from now until draft night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can go back to the Rams game. And what other priorities do you think the Giants have to consider in order to go into this game and, pull off an upset?
Well, they got to stop Stafford from being Stafford. I mean, he's got some pretty good weapons there. He's got, of course, Cooper Kupp, and he's got this other rookie, I believe he is, right? If I'm not mistaken, a young kid who's doing really good for them. He's got a funny name, Puka Nashka, if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Oh, yeah. Where did he play? Hold up.
He played at a small school, I believe, didn't he?
Puka Nuka, right?
Nuka.
This BYU. That's right. He's a BYU guy.
Yeah, he's having a very good year. He's, the Giants they can't just watch out for one wide receiver. They're going to have to cover him, two guys, and you know how Stafford is. He spreads the ball around. So,
right.
I mean, on offense, they got to stop Stafford. And they won't be able to stop him. They got to at least slow him down, minimize the big plays by the Rams, because they do like to go vertical. And they're going to have to win the line of scrimmage, especially against the Rams defensive line.
Yeah, and Deontay Banks, but that's another concern too. I mean, he's nursing a shoulder injury. I don't know where that stands right now in terms of play. Deontay Banks, he got hurt in the Eagles game.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that yet. Yeah. Usually by Thursday they give out the reports who's going to be able to play. So I don't know which Giants are on the fence right now. Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? But that's big. If Banks can't do it, that's going to be tough.
Right, exactly. So hopefully that one gets figured out pretty quickly here, because again we have. I mean, how would you rate the cornerback situation with the Giants? Cornerback, I say Deontay Banks having a great rookie year. I expect him to continue to be good next year. What about the other defensive back situation?
Well, that's definitely a question mark because they're not going to bring Adoree Jackson back.
No,
the other kid, Hawkins, had a good camp and did good early. But he's a rookie, and he's also a 6th-round pick, and that happens. He's got a lot of learning to do. So yes, I do think they need to address the other corner position, and whether they do it in free agency or they do it in a draft is remains to be seen. Or a trade. We don't talk about trades in football because they're not as common like they are in other sports.
We can only speculate, right?
Yeah, only speculate. But Banks has done a great job. He's definitely he's definitely in my mind makes the all-pro team, all-rookie team. I mean,
he makes the all-rookie team. He's done a phenomenal job, and thank God. When the Giants hit on a draft pick, I just sit there and say thank God because we just haven't had the success rate lately that we wish we did, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, you don't think Adoree Jackson's coming back next year?
I don't think so.
Cap casualty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'd rather use his money to go get an offensive lineman in a draft.
Yeah.
An interior lineman. I know fans are talking about right tackle with Evan Neal. I understand the frustration. And I don't know if the Giants plan on moving him inside. I don't think they will.
I got to be honest with you, Truth. I mean, the one problem is, Giants fans think they're going to put him at guard and he's magically going to get better. That's just a specation. We're only putting him at guard because he's less of a liability than tackle. So I don't really know if that's actually exemplary work. What the Giants should do is just assume he's going to be backup material right now for next year. Get a good offensive line coach, one of the most tenured, best ones you could possibly get. And see if you can work with him. But right now, the expectation's got to be he can't start at any level next year. You can't just put him at guard because he's not that good. Because he's not a good tackle.
Yeah, he's got 2 more years, I believe, right?
He's got 2 years, so this could be worked on. If he improves next year, and he really shows out that 4th year, bring him back. It won't cost as much. Go for it.
Yeah. And the draft and the free agency does have some nice interior linemen out there.
There's good interior linemen and a lot cheaper linemen. Like a guy like Glasgow from Denver, he doesn't really go for that much. It'll be several million. I wish I went for several million, but I don't know if my manager would approve of that.
I remember they could also cut Glowinski and just eat 1.5 million
Yeah,
of,
that's
of
the
his
cap.
dead money, and that's
Yep.
5.7 million right there. They're going to get from him.
And then here, I got to be honest with you. I feel like Linsky's going to go somewhere else and just be a great lineman again.
Well, doesn't it always happen to the Giants?
Always. I mean, Zeitler was okay when he was here. Now he's like very good again. There's another option, by the way. Zeitler, get Zeitler.
Yeah, no, I talked about that in one of my articles about him coming back.
I just don't know.
Look, it'll be a lot cheaper than it was when he left.
Right.
It'll be a lot cheaper because he's like 3 years older, right? 3 years.
Right.
Something like that.
I do wonder if the Ravens win the Super Bowl if he would like retire though.
Could. He's 34. He's 34. So yeah, he might.
And I just wonder if at 34 he doesn't even want to come back to a crappy like a
why
team. Right. He might rather just stay on the Ravens. So we'll see what happens there. But they have good options at interior O-line. I think at right tackle, Trenton Brown's their best option.
Who is?
Trenton Brown out of the Patriots. Because I mean, I looked at the list. I mean, unless Andrews Pete goes back to tackle, I mean, then yeah, it's going to be. I mean, Trenton Brown. So
he's good. I like him. I like Robert Hunt too out of Miami.
Robert Hunt. Yeah. But again, I mean, the Giants they got to get a few things right here. They got to get better at developing these players. They got to get better with the technique and the players themselves. We've had David Deal in this program, and he talked about how hard he worked his rookie year. He knew everybody else's assignment.
Yep.
Before the first offensive meeting. The Giants need to have that instilled culture. I don't know. I don't know if they have that right now. I'm not saying that, the Giants players don't work hard by any means whatsoever at O-line. What I'm saying is, I just speculate whether or not there's a gap there. Because a guy like David Deal is a 4th round pick. We've had tons of 4th round picks like Lemieux. He's a 5th round pick. Come through, and it's more like Lemieux, man. You got an opportunity to ball out and have a successful career here. Does he go out there with the mindset that David Deal has? I don't know. So, but lots has to happen because I'm sick of watching a crappy offensive line, and I know you are too.
Yeah, I think your first comment is the major thing. You got to get the right people in there to teach these young guys. And I think we definitely need a new offensive line coach.
Yeah, definitely. And, to piggyback off that with the offensive line, some options they can also look at for these players. I don't have any specific ones in mind, but I was, I might scan through like the 2020 NFL draft just to see like, a guy like Hernandez who left the Giants and is now very good with the Cardinals. Maybe that's what the Giants have to gun for. I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier about Sean O'Hara, but get somebody who's coming off their rookie contract that, had a so-and-so initial career. They go for dirt cheap. And then, from there, if you have if he improves, great. If not, the hell with it. He's backup material anyway. But go for those guys in free agency as well. We have to talk about the Rams too here, don't we?
Oh, we're going to. Well, and yeah, we are. But I can see that. I can see the comments. The guys are into what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Because it's hard not to talk about these things, right? Because previewing the Rams, but it always goes back. It's like, yeah, well, the O-line has to play better. Well, how do they do it? Well, in the grand scheme of things, and we get lost down this track.
Well, all right. So let's get back to the game. So
let's do it.
So in my breakdown of this game, the Rams can beat the Giants just offensively. They don't even need a turnover.
Right.
I believe they can if they play their game offensively, they can move the ball in the air. They got a good running back in Williams who's doing a good job for them. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, they cannot beat the Rams just pure playing offensive football. They need breaks. They need to get turnover like they did with Adoree Jackson. They got that play when the guy fell, the tight end fell, and they got a touchdown. Or like you said earlier, the Eagles bumped into each other on the kickoff.
Yep.
And the Giants got the ball back. The Giants need that, and they need a shorter field to score. The Giants are not going to go from their 20 to the end zone, multiple times in a football game. They're just not going to do that, guys. No. And it's unfortunate, but they're not. So field position is vital to the Giants' success offensively. And I just don't see – I know the Giants have been doing well with their turnover. I just don't see them running the gauntlet that many times I just can't see it continuously happen in this game. I just think that the Rams are going to be just a little too much for them. I really do. I really do.
Agree.
Now, defensively, we already talked about Aaron Donald. Is there anybody else on that Rams team that you worry about, or you think that is someone that Giants need to watch out for?
I actually don't have anyone in particular in mind. I think the problem that has existed as of late with the Giants is a lot of times they take care of the best players on the opposing team's defense. Aaron Donald is actually a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
They did good against him a couple years ago. He really didn't do much.
Yeah, that's when Nick Gates had a fight with him, right? That's
right. But Gates actually had a good game against him. It was somebody else on that line that was just blowing up the Giants that day. It wasn't Donald, though. So that's what they got to look out for. I mean, don't overlook anybody like Ernest Jones or anybody like that. It's
funny you mentioned Ernest Jones. It's funny you mentioned, because I was going to bring him up. He leads the team in tackles, and he's a good player. And we talk about Donald. He's going to be double teamed. Rightly so. There'll be multiple times he's double teamed. And what does that do? That leaves somebody else in a one-on-one battle, which it gives them a better chance to win. And a guy like Jones could be one of those guys that could have a very good game. Double-digit tackles, a couple of sacks. I mean, he has 4.5 sacks this year, so he's doing a good job. Good player. So there's the kind of guy you want to look out for. And they have somebody else there. I think he played Alabama. I don't know why I'm thinking an Alabama guy. Young. I'm thinking of Young. Byron Young or Brian Young?
It's Byron Young.
Byron Young. There's another player.
Yeah, the linebacker, right? The edge.
Right. And he's got 6 tackles. I think he has 6 or 7 sacks. I'm not too sure. So here's another player that is a good player, and I'm sure listen, they're gonna key on Donald, which is the right thing to do. But they're gonna have other guys who are gonna take.
It's gonna open it up for those other defensive players to make moves, right?
And hopefully one day the Giants will have that advantage when guys like Thibodeau get more established. He might get double team, which helps somebody else out.
Exactly. They got to bring in a nice, efficient guy to counter him. Let me ask this real quick because I know this is off topic again. Would you be about the Giants bringing back Leonard Williams?
We talked about that, Chris and I know Craig has mentioned that many times. If it's the right price, I have no problem with that.
What do you think an appropriate price is for him?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Like lower 10s, maybe.
It's got to be below double digits. It's got to be below 10 million.
Well, especially with the guaranteed. That was the thing that was crazy with Gettleman. He was reckless with the guaranteed money.
He was desperate because look, he had a great year, right? 11.5 sacks, and Hey, I remember when we signed him that night on Twitter, people were going nuts. Giant fans were going in a good way. They loved it. They were so happy, and. And he had a good year after that. Just didn't have the sacks. He had a lot of tackles for a lineman. So, yes, I can see the Giants bringing him back if the price is right, if the numbers work. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be the only thing that's sensible. So, I mean, we'll see what they end up doing there. It'd be interesting to have him back. I just don't know if he's going to be like, hey, I feel disrespected because, you dropped me from the team. I had to move my family. It was stressful. Find my kids a new school for a year. He might hold a little grudge against the Giants, and I mean, slightly rightfully so. It's a business.
Yeah, we don't know how well that ended in that conversation. Him and Shane, how it ended. We don't know.
Well, hold up. Apparently, it ended good because apparently Shane said, we shopped you around, got a few different offers, and we went with the Seahawks for you because we wanted you to be on a winning team.
Well, that's good. Good.
That's good. So now hopefully we can get him back then.
I do want to say this too, Spartan. the Giants, last 2 years they drafted two big defensive linemen. They got Davison and they got the kid Riley.
Yes.
And Riley's showing me some good stuff. He's showing that he's quick. He does a really good job getting off his tackle and making tackles, the block and making tackles.
Yeah.
He did that the other day. I watched him a couple of times. And so I do like their depth, but they do need to get another guy in there because I don't know if they're going to bring back Robinson, Sean Robinson, and the other guy, Nunez Roche. I don't know if they're bringing him back. I don't know. So whether that's what's that?
No. All I was going to say is, and that's part of the frustrating thing too, right? With the Giants is like, where they don't have guys like Phibbs that they're borderlining on that, between, good and potentially being great. They still got to solidify some of those pieces there. And that's why I'm almost willing to just bring Leonard Williams back because it's like, instead of having some guy that you throw in there for a season or whatever because you couldn't find anybody else, you just didn't have anybody, or you ran out of money.
Yeah.
We need solid pieces at each position that can at least hold their weight.
Oh, I agree. And I definitely see an edge in the draft because it's a lot cheaper to get an edge in the draft than there's in free agency.
Yep.
I definitely see that, and there are some out there that they could consider with this day 2 picks, and they have 3 of them, so they could take one of those guys as an edge. And we'll talk about that when we do our draft. By the way, I think we're going to do that starting in mid to late January.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We'll talk about that off air, how we want to do this. But hopefully we'll get a lot of good guests on, some of the guys who listen to us and some of the well-known guys on Twitter. Try to get them on like we did last year. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah, totally. And hopefully, what I'm going to see what we could do is, if we're getting, if we're going to talk quarterbacks, we might need 2 shows for it and spend more time on certain players.
We could.
I mean, because what if we get like a college football coach on that worked with some of these quarterbacks, perhaps, because it's a little bit easier to get those guys and just see if we can talk to them. They're available on Twitter and whatnot, and we'll see what's if it's possible.
Yeah, we could do that. You're right. There's a bigger group of quarterbacks coming out this year, so it'd be worth talking a little bit more about them.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, we could sign off here in just a minute, but I mean, do you have anything else or any other takeaways or keys to success for the Giants today?
No, I think it is. I think they gotta rely on the turnovers. They gotta rely on field position because they can't have a 12 to 14 play 85-yard drive. They could do it, but very rarely. Right. They gotta somehow get Stafford to make mistakes. He only has 9 interceptions, 26. I think he has. And you correct me if I'm wrong. I think he has like 26 touchdown passes.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so and he's not far from 4,000 yards, right? I think he's got.
Correct.
Okay, so the kid is playing good. They're gonna have to force him into mistakes, and they got to play good defense like we've seen them play, and they got to create turnovers. It's gonna be hard, and if you're gonna tell me what do I think the score is gonna be, I don't see them winning. You talked about the Rams having a 4.5-point favorite. And I think the over-under is 43.5. I think there's a good chance. That seems about right, only because I don't think the Giants are going to score a lot of points. I can see the Rams getting 27 points, Giants maybe getting 13 points, something like that. 27-13. That's what I see.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm actually going to agree with you on that score. That was a very good score. I truly I'm thinking 2 touchdowns for the Giants, and I'm thinking for the Rams, 4 and a field goal. So probably 31-14.
Okay. Yep. So it's going to be interesting. So, look, we don't want to see, I don't even want to talk about tanking. I won't even bring that up, but
the Giants.
I don't want to even bring that up, but I just want to see effort. I want to see these guys play hard. And not give up, not jog after the play. Like that really disappointed me. Ojulari did that.
That was infuriating.
Yeah, that bothered me. And I'm sure a lot of the I wonder what Carl Banks thinks about that if he saw that game.
Oh, he probably did. He was probably pissed off.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe he could talk to him, when he sees him during the week, because that's not good.
Yeah, we haven't had him on in a minute here. I mean, he hasn't been on the show in 2 years, and I would love to get him back on because his perspective is incredible.
Oh yeah, yeah. He knows his football, and all you do is listen and take in and learn from these guys. There's a reason why.
Yep, exactly.
There's a reason why. But what do you think? So you're thinking 31-14? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Rams clear the Giants. They just have too powerful of a team for the Giants to overcome at this point.
And they got their number. Maybe they just mentally got. I know the rosters change over the years. I understand that, but maybe mentally they just got their number.
Right.
Just like the Eagles have in the last 10 years in Philly.
Yeah, God, that one really kills me. That one is infuriating. It's like the players don't even care about that rivalry anymore.
I don't know if they care or not. I mean, you think so? You don't think they care? I hope not.
Well, I hope they do. But I just wish they seem to have like a passion to beat the Eagles as much as the fans have that,
Yeah. I mean, we came very close with that one time, and Ingram didn't catch that football. That was a big one, right? That game, that was the one that we came close with.
You know what? Hold up. Here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing about that, Truth. Because everybody says, the Giants haven't won in Philly. There have been a couple blowouts along the way. There's been a lot of games where the Giants had either control of the game and blew it, or the Giants just came out, and had some stupid play that they gave up. 2016, the Giants were a better team. They went out there flat-footed and lost in Philly, right? Classic. And I got to go through the memory here. 2017, the Giants again had an opportunity to actually upset the Eagles, who were a much better team, but they took a lead at an odd time, 62-yard field goal, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Then pretty sure it was 2 years straight with Shermer that they blew the Giants-Eagles game. I mean, 2 freaking years straight. And then, I guess we 2020, it was the Ingram drop. So, there were opportunities.
Yeah, there were. And you know what? Good teams win. That's why the Giants were 5-10, and the Eagles are 11-4.
They're not finding ways to win. Bottom line.
Right. They're not finding ways to win.
Truth. Again, it was a pleasure being with you, brother.
Yeah.
Giants fans, thank you all for tuning in. Darius, appreciate you up in the comments tonight.
Yeah.
Out.
Tudo was on too. I noticed Tudo.
Yeah, Tudo was on, but we'll be back up and running next week. Hopefully, we got something good to cheer about. Go Giants.
Take care, guys.